Why, hello there, dear viewer. I'm quite sure that some of you have been wondering why I have not been uploading very many videos lately. Well, to answer your question, dear viewer, it is because I have gotten a new job. That is correct, I have a new job. And I've been working there for about a month now. And so in today's video, I'm going to take the time to talk about my experiences on the job, and talking about some of my thoughts and experiences there. And I'm also going to be using this video as a way to update you on future stuff that will be coming out later. Enough of that accent. But everything I said with the accent is true. So, the first part of this video, I'm just going to be talking about the new job that I got. And then in the last part of the video, I'm going to be explaining all of the plans that I have for the channel and some cool, interesting stuff that some of you viewers might enjoy. So, let us begin. You're probably wondering, what is it, sirs? What is this new job that you have, and why do you have this notebook here? Well, I will tell you. So, the new job I got was being a substitute teacher. So, the interesting thing about the job in general is that I'm not in any one particular place. I can go anywhere and do anything, you know. It's like an RPG that way. Actually, not at all. So basically, I can substitute for any grade. So there's no real specific grade I have to go to. But I do have preferences. I absolutely prefer high school students because they're the most sufficient and the most interesting people to talk to in general. I absolutely abhor middle school students, and I'll talk about that. And elementary school students, I've only subbed a couple of times, and the 5th graders are pretty cool, but the 4th graders weren't yet. I'm going to talk about that, alright? And the point of the notebook is I actually jotted down a couple of notes to help me remember some interesting things that happened while I was there in each different school. I obviously won't, talk about what schools I went to, because that would be doxing, and, well, the internet hates doxing, so, yeah. So, let's start off. What should I start off with by talking about? So I'm a substitute teacher. So sometimes, here's the thing that's interesting about being a substitute teacher, okay? What you're supposed to get, usually, is a lesson plan for the students. But if you don't have a lesson plan for the students, you're supposed to be flexible and creative and come up with something to teach them. I'm going to talk about one interesting thing I did with some students, and then I'm going to talk about why I couldn't do that interesting thing with other students. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you people figured out why. So enough of the preamble, let's get started. So my very first day, which was 1, 2, 3, I think like 4 weeks ago, I believe, I substituted for an elementary school that was like literally like 2 miles away from my house. And some interesting things happened there. Not really not like extravagant things, just kind of some interesting things that perked my ears up, okay? So here are my notes for the first day. One thing that I thought was interesting was I saw this one lonely kid who just kind of looked really tired and just kind of separated himself from the rest of the group. And this was interesting to me because I didn't really realize that kids separated themselves into such diverse groups at such a young age, because there were some pretty clear cliques forming amongst these 5th graders. Now, they're probably only like 10 or 11. One was like 13. I'll chat about in a second. But to find the kid kind of off by himself in class and not really interacting with the people in his group was really interesting to me to see that, He kind of had a very obvious kind of tired look on his face, so maybe he was just tired. But even as the day went on, he still didn't interact with anyone. He still seemed kind of by himself, and I kind of felt really bad for him being that little social loner. I even let the kids go out for recess, and he was literally swinging on the swing all by himself, and I felt so bad. It hurt my heart, and I can't really I guess I could have hung out with him, but that would be weird, being the substitute teacher, hanging out with the weird kid anyway. I don't think that would really help him out. But I just saw him, and it just felt bad. But the cool thing about it all was, here's what was great about it. There's another kid named Joe in the class, And I just had to say his name was Joe, because, like, I've never actually met anyone named Joe in real life. So So Joe actually eventually started talking to the lonely kid, and they became friends. And then later in the day, I saw them in recess a second time playing together, and it was good. It was really good, and I enjoyed that. I just thought it was interesting to see this lonely kid get a friend, and I was there to see it and witness it. It was good. So it was very good stuff. One thing that I thought was also interesting, and again, this is the reason why I find it interesting is because of how young these kids are. There was, in the second period of the fifth graders I was substituting for, there was a clearly defined group of really pretty girls that kind of sat away from the rest of the students. It's really interesting to me. Not only were like some of them literally like playing with makeup in the middle of class, like putting it on, and I'm just sitting here like, you're like 10, why? I was sitting here like, you're like 11. I was like, why? So, I mean, they put it away. Like, it wasn't really a big deal, but just the fact that they had the makeup and just the fact that she was applying it was just enough for me. I just was like, why? So it was really interesting to see the group of pretty girls, you know, and they were all white girls, by the way. I think this is an important note. Just kind of off in the corner, just being pretty, you know. And the thing is, like, they were good students. One of them actually just like lightning fast did her work, and then literally she just sat around and just was drawing for the rest of the day. She was cool. There's no problems from her. Again, the fact that the clique was forming, you know, as stereotypical as it was something I thought I just decided to write down. So the very next day, I went to the same school, and I was substituting for a different class for fourth graders. Now, this one was interesting to me because this is when the pattern was starting. And I'm going to explain the pattern in a second, but this is when I see the pattern starting. There's another kid named Connor. He was a ginger, small redhead kid, right? So the very first thing that we had to do, that I had to do that day, was I had to take the kids from the cafeteria and bring them to the media center or the library. For those of you who are uninitiated, I had to bring them to the library where they had to do a writing assignment. And so all the kids, apparently they had signed seats, but because I was a substitute, I didn't know. So they just sat where they wanted to sit. So they all sat wherever they wanted to sit. And there's this one kid, the kid Connor, is off by himself again. So I'm like, okay, different class, different age group, but we still have this, you know, loner kid off to the side, you know, kind of minding his own business. And so I walked over to him and I asked him, I said, how come you're sitting over here by himself? And this is what the kid says to me. I kid you not, I'm not joking. He says this to me. I remember this because it just took me aback. And he says, yeah, I don't know. It's because I'm an outcast. And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, you're like 9. You're like 10. How do you know what that word means? I mean, outcast, I mean, it's not really like, it's not the most advanced word. I mean, I'm not saying that. But the mere fact that this 9-year-old kid, or 10, I don't know, was sitting here off, just separated himself off in the corner, and was like, I'm an outcast. This is just my job. This is just who I'm going to be. Just blew my mind. And again, I felt sad. I felt really sad. But this is what was interesting. It was really nice. There were 2 other girls who, literally, as soon as he said this to me, one of them just snaps back. No. I'm messing up the story. So what Connor said was, I'm an outcast and nobody likes me. And that's really when I was like, oh, that's so sad. But there's these 2 girls. One of them immediately snaps back and she says, no, that's not true, Connor. We like you. And then she got her other friend to come with her, and they moved to the table, and they sat with Connor, and then they did their work together. And it felt so good. It felt good seeing them all work together. It was so nice. So nice. Once again, and it was really interesting to me because, like, I see these kids, you know, be empathetic and kind to each other, right? And it just kind of makes me wonder, like, where is the stage in their life where, like, they're gonna get kicked in the teeth and transform into horrible human beings? Like, can they not stay in this state of mind where they see someone in pain and immediately they go over there and help them? Like, I saw it was like 2 for 2. 2 for 2. These kids that just went off and just was hanging out with some kid who was an outcast and made them feel better, and they just had a grand old time because they're kids. It doesn't really take much to entertain them, right? It was nice. I just wanted to say, seeing that was a very beautiful thing to me. Seeing these girls be really kind to Connor and sit with him, that was great. Then I have some other notes, just some other notes I thought was interesting. I'm not going to say in the video. Now, here's the thing. So, the reason the 5th graders, behaviorally wise, were pretty good kids. The The 4th graders on the other hand. This is my second day, by the way. My second day, I was introduced to a world of which I was not prepared for. Like, these kids had so much energy. And I mean, I guess it's reasonable that they would have so much energy, but they had a lot more energy than I anticipated them having. And they were just a terrible collection of individuals, I have to say. There's this one kid I remember. It was actually the first period. There were 2 periods when I saw the 4th graders. The second period was just horrendous. The first period was okay. I mean, there are a couple of bad eggs, but whatever. I remember one thing in particular. This got me. I asked this one kid literally takes his desk. There's a group of 4 desks. He takes it and he just moves it to the side for no reason. So I say, hey man, can you put the desk back? Can you move the desk? So he moves the desk, right? And then, for whatever reason, he just starts banging the desk against the other desk. He's just banging it again and again. And I said, what are you doing? He says, well, you told me to move the desk. So I'm moving the desk. And I was like, never in my life how I wanted to smack a kid upside the head than in that very moment. I couldn't laugh, obviously, because then it would make the kid, it would encourage their behavior. But, I mean, the fact that I was like, I can't even come up with an analogy for the silliness of what happened. There's no way he didn't know that I meant just move the desk back into place. So he was just being a jerk, obviously. He was just being a terrible kid. It was just hilarious to me that he did that. So here's another thing that was interesting. So these kids were literally getting up, running around, throwing stuff. They were not very good kids. I don't really remember exactly what they were doing. I guess I kind of was like going through the motions just to get through. Either that or just, I don't know. Sometimes I just kind of delete the experience from my mind because I guess if I didn't, I'd just go insane. So again, in my notes, I remember this one thing in particular. So apparently, I've been out of school for a couple of years. So apparently they've introduced laptops into both high school and middle school, and I think elementary school. I could be wrong there. But over here in the state of Florida, at least, they've introduced laptop computers in these kids. And these kids, they play with the computers. Come on, we already knew they were going to do that. At least I knew they were going to do that. I have no idea why Duval County Public Schools or any school system thought that it was a reasonable idea to give children laptop computers and like full access to go do whatever they want. But they did it, and the kids do exactly what you think they do. They just play around with them. So I absolutely was not going to let these 4th graders play around with those bloody computers today because they were horrendous people. And I have this motto. And my motto is, I do not reward bad behavior. Okay, if you act up as a kid, you absolutely will not get anything nice from me. That's just the way I see it. And I'm not doing it. Okay, so this one kid was acting up, right? And he kept asking me. He said, "Can we get on the computers?" And I was like, "No, most certainly not." And so I leave, and I'm dealing with other kids acting out. And he calls me back over there again. They go back over there. And he asks me, he says, "Can I get on the computer?" And I was like, "No, you guys aren't using the computers today. You guys are acting up. You have no reason to get on the computer. As far as I know, it's not in the lesson plan. So, no." I leave. I go talk to some other students, help them with their work. And the same kid calls me back again. I go over to him. And I say, "What do you need?" And for the 3rd time, he asked me, "Can we use the computers?" And so I just asked him straight up. I said, "Didn't you not just ask me this question before?" He says, "Yes." I say, "What was the answer the first time?" He said, "The answer is no." I say, so what do you think the answer's going to be now? And he's like, well, I don't know. I thought maybe you'd change your mind. So I said, I didn't. The answer is no. So long story short, this kid asked me if he can use this computer. Literally 9 bloody times. 9 times. And at one point, I had to hold back a chuckle because I'm just sitting here like, listen, young man, I just told you you're not using the computer today. Stop asking me this question. The answer's not going to change. Interesting stuff. I'll tell you one thing that was also interesting. One kid that was supposed to be my helper ended up being like one of the worst kids. That just totally blew my mind. I thought the reason why the teacher assigned her to help me out was because she was well behaved, but oh no. But here's something else that was interesting to me. Again, just something I made a mental note of. So, every single kid, one, had a cell phone, okay? But it isn't just enough that these 4th graders and even these 5th graders all had cell phones. They were like, literally, we're talking about like iPhone 6, iPhone 7, you know? Well, this is 6S. We're talking about like Android Galaxy type level of smartphone. We're talking about grade A stuff. And I'm really confused as to why in the bloody hell their parents gave them these phones. Why did they give this to them? I do not understand. I just really don't, because again, like, all it does is just kind of gives them license to get on their phones and play around, and they're definitely not looking up, you know, the answers to the worksheet that they're working on. So, I mean, I think it's really interesting to me because obviously back when I was in school, I mean, all of this technology didn't exist, and I'm not even that old of a guy, by the way. I'm only like 22. I'm not really even that old. But, you know, when I was in the 6th grade, I didn't get my first cell phone until I was in the 6th grade. And it was like some Verizon silver flip phone, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even think I had Tetris on the phone. I think at that point in time, you had to purchase all the games for like 99 cents. You couldn't even play games. These kids have Safari and Google and whatnot, and just the whole app store to play with on their iPhones. And I don't know how Samsung, you know, has their app store, but whatever. The point is, the fact that they have this great degree of technology is amazing to me at this young age. I just felt that it's a bit overkill. Those were the first 2 days. I tell you one thing that was so interesting to me, which isn't a joke. It's not a joke at all. There's this one kid, and this was 5th graders, right? This one kid was in a wheelchair because I think he hurt his ankle somehow. There's this one girl from a different class that came up to him and started talking to him about how his girlfriend Lily wanted to break up with him because he was texting other girls. And I was like, bruh, you were like 10. And then I asked him, I said, how old are you? And he said, I'm 13. So completely ignoring how he ended up being 13 in 5th grade. Let's not even talk about that. I'm sitting here like, how hard is it? Like, what? First of all, my question is, in elementary school, what even is the measure of your relationship with the opposite sex? I'm not really saying that, you know, it has to be stereotypical, boys hate girls, cooties and all that. I'm not saying, that's not what I'm saying, man. But what I am saying is, having a relationship with some girl in the 5th grade, and you can't even, this is what bothers me the most. It's not just the fact that he has a relationship in the 5th grade, my niggas. It's the fact that he can't even keep it. Like they're not going on dates. They're not going out to places or anything. They just go to school and they like share their lunch or something. I don't really know what these 5th graders do in their relationships, but I assume, I don't know, they push each other on the swing. I don't know what they're doing, but the fact that he couldn't even maintain his 5th grade relationship was just blowing my mind, man. I said, why are you texting other girls? I was like, why? Again, these are 5th graders, man. I'm telling you, the kids, they're growing up way too fast, man. And I don't say that endearingly. I say that like, they need to chill, man. They need to chill. They need to chill out. I'll tell you one thing that's very interesting. So then this is kind of my general experience, right? I said that what I've noticed in my first 2 days that there was an outcast who just kind of was sitting by himself. I tell you one thing, my friend. I tell you this, okay? I don't make joke. There's always an outcast. And it's really interesting to me how no matter the class and no matter the day, this always happens. There's always some kid who's just off by himself, not talking to his friends. Sometimes I don't even think he has friends in the class, or it's a girl sometimes, and they're just there by themselves, and they don't say anything to anyone. They don't they don't even interact. They don't say, "Hey, hello, what's up? How you doing? Hey, did you do this? For class the other?" No, they go inside the room, they sit down, and then that's it. They're gone. They plug out. They plug out for the rest of the class period because they don't ever say anything, and it's very interesting. There's no real point to it. These are just some experiences I had. But the fact that it is consistent, it's school to school, consistently, we have this over and over again. No matter the grade level, whether you have 10th graders, 9th graders, 6th graders, 7th graders, doesn't matter. There's always some kid just off in the corner, just doing his own thing. Interesting to me how it never fails that you can always find one of those kids. It's almost like the school system literally does a personality test and separate these kids into these different archetypes, because they absolutely and certainly have archetypes. It's mind-blowing. Someone might be able to explain why that is, but I don't know. I tell you one thing that also is very interesting. Now, I know a lot of people who else were going through school. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know this, but when I went through school way back when, there were always a couple of kids who were just jerks, and they were just mean. And I mean jerks and mean and rude and disrespectful to teachers too. Now this really isn't something I completely understand, because I'm not really a mean person, and I'm very soft-spoken, so I think they're just kind of trying to take advantage of my kindness. So eventually it kind of got to a point where I just had to threaten that I'd just tell them to leave. But I tell you one thing that never fails is that if there are bad students, they actually are never even most of the class. It's always maybe 2 or 3. Probably 3 at the most. You don't really normally get a huge batch or half a batch of just really terrible individual. Because as it turns out, most students actually really just kind of want to sit down and do whatever work is given to them. They're kind of like cogs in the machine. They just want to do whatever you ask them to do, and they'll do it. I just thought it was very interesting how when it actually comes to behavioral issues, you only ever actually really only deal with a couple of students, and I think that's cool. That's neato. So, despite the fact that this is actually only a couple of my experiences, because I have a lot more notes I can actually get into. As it turns out, this video is probably going on a lot longer than I wanted it to be. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end my experiences off right here, because there's a lot more. I have a couple of pages of notes, and instead explain what's going to go on with my channel, okay? And then I'm going to end the video. So here's what's cool. Here's what's neato, guys, okay? So a couple months back, I got a community guideline strike that stopped me for live streaming for the next 3 months. Well, that 3rd month ends now, so now I can live stream on YouTube again, and I'm going to start doing that. But here's the kicker. I'm also going to be live streaming on Twitch after I make this next video on League of Legends. So if you don't like League of Legends, that's totally cool, but you can come to the Twitch stream that I will be making, so you can, I don't know, talk to me and chat with me. I'm going to be having more live streams on YouTube when I can find the time, when I'm off, when I'm not obviously being a substitute. And also, here's another cool thing, is while I was substituting, wrote a list of different video ideas that I'm going to be making and putting them into production. So regular content will indeed be returning, my friends. It will be coming back, and it will be good stuff, I think. I think it will be very good stuff. So that's coming back. So live streams are coming. Once I figure out how to work with Twitch, that will be coming. I got a new microphone, so I can make better voiceovers. At least I hope the voiceovers will come out better. I haven't made a video yet, but the next video I'm working on that revolves around a video game, this is true, I'm making a video about a video game. That's going to be cool. That should be out, I don't know, maybe the next 2 weeks, I think. So that's cool. But some regular, good old-fashioned Xerxes talking to the camera, that stuff will be coming back really, really soon. You don't really have to wait too long, because now I have ideas and now I have stuff to do. So like I said, I'm going to probably talk about my experiences being a substitute teacher more, Probably maybe in a live stream, or probably maybe during a Twitch stream while I'm playing League of Legends or something. So you guys can then come and ask me questions, or I can just kind of finish off where I left off here. But for now, I just wanted to explain, this is why I have not been making videos. Those are just a couple of my experiences on like the first 3 days. There's a lot more I can talk about. And more videos are coming soon. Live streaming is coming soon as well. I also want to mention a good friend of mine named Satu2cents is also having a very special live stream. He's going to propose to his girlfriend on this live stream. If you ask me why, I can't really tell you why. I guess he just wants it to be extra special. But that's what he's going to do. So he asked me to tell you guys that that's what he's doing. And I think the live stream is going to be March 18th. I could be wrong there. And if I am wrong, I'm going to annotate this part and fix it. So if you guys are interested in watching that, by all means, I will put a link to Satu's channel in the description box below. So again, finally wrapping this up. Live streams are coming back on my channel. Twitch streams are coming on Twitch. And I'll probably put highlights of the stuff I do on Twitch on YouTube too. New videos are coming out soon. I think that will be interesting, that people will enjoy. And Satsu's engagement stream, hopefully. I hope he's getting engaged. I hope she says yes, because if she doesn't, that'd be weird. And that's it. So that being said, man, I just hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you did, man, go and click the like button. And shoot, go and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.